Hi there. Thanks for being here. Today, hi there. Thanks for being here. I am really excited to share with y'all this sort of like 3-punch list. I'm just getting used to these lives, especially this sort of lull in the beginning. So I'm going to try to not be redundant, and then on the recordings, it'll be much more succinct. And so what I want to share with you is there is a 3-step formula for reaching our higher potential. And it's first our desire. It's second what I call design. And the third is the mind. And so whenever we're working towards something we want, whether it's our life purpose, whether it's just what we're doing for the day, desire, design, and the mind. What is that? So desire is what we want, okay? And ultimately, when we're going towards our higher potential, our desire is the big D desire. It's what we feel like inside of us we cannot not do. And if you don't know what that is, that's okay. Like it still lives within you. It's just, especially as women, sometimes we neglect that. And so we can do some excavating and we can bring that back to life. Okay, so desire. And when I speak about design, I'm speaking about our environment in general. It's our relationships, our career, like whatever is going on out in our life. But specifically, we want to bring our awareness to our home, okay? Because that is our primary environment. And then the last part is our mind. And so we ultimately have 2 homes. We have the space where we live and the place we call home, and we have what's going on in our mind. And so there's this relationship between our desire, our environment, design, and our mind. And so all 3 of these are a relationship. And what holds all of this together, or where we want to bring our focus and our awareness, is our nervous system, okay? Because if we are tapped into our big D desire, our nervous system is lighting up, okay? That's where we're just radiating, and people can tell. It's palpable. Just like when you can tell when someone's in love, when you're tapped into your desire, it infuses a different energy that exudes outside of us, but we also feel it within. And the thing about the nervous system is it's constantly in communication with every single cell in our being. And so if we want to regulate our nervous system, and if we want our nervous system to really be enlivened in a way that supports vitality, whether it's physical vitality or emotional vitality or mental vitality, we want to bring that element of our bigger D desire into our life. We want to listen to it. We want to follow it. Okay. So that's in this 3-step formula, or this trifecta of things that we want to tap into for our higher potential. Desire is a huge one. Okay. Because desire is related to our attitude, our enthusiasm, our passion for life. And when we're tapped into that, our nervous system is radiating out through our entire body to every cell in our body, and that's how we reach optimal health. That's how we feel vitality. So our desire is kind of mandatory. As far as I'm concerned, our desire is mandatory for reaching our higher potential. Because if we're not tapped into that zest for life, that passion for life, that enthusiasm, then how do we reach that higher level? Okay. So design is us being intentional about how we optimize our space, but also the choices in our life. And so when I speak to design, I'm speaking of how we spend our time, what are our words, our thoughts, our choices, and using our home, because that's our primary environment, adapting our home in a way that supports, encourages, and even accelerates that which we desire. Okay, so that's sort of the connection between desire and design, is it's being very intentional with our environment. And when we are intentional and conscious about how each room in our home supports our bigger D desires, then all of a sudden we're enlisting this hidden force in our life. And I get more into that in the neurodesign and in a different conversation about epigenetics and neuroplasticity. But just know that how your environment is designed, and again, when I say design, it's referring to how we intentionally adapt our environment and how we intentionally adapt our choices so that what we're doing in the world is supporting what we want, and each room in our home in a specific way is supporting those deeper desires, okay? And lastly, the mind. The mind is in a direct relationship. It's an interconnected relationship between our mind and our physical environment. And so that makes the environment of our home profoundly important and significant, because if our mind, specifically our subconscious mind, is in a direct relationship and communicates this hidden language with our environment, then we can use that environment to start communicating those thoughts that are happening in the subconscious mind that are below the surface that we don't have access to. And I get way into that in User's Guide to the Subconscious Mind. And in another conversation, I can get more into that. But just know our desire and how we design our environment and how we work with the hidden space of our mind, the subconscious, all of those are connected. Okay. And all of those are hugely significant. And so if you are working towards something that you want, if you have an intention, if you have these objectives, whether it's daily objectives or for the next 5 years or 2 years or 20 years, I want you to understand that there's a relationship between what you want, your deeper desire, and how tapped in you are to that, the choices you're making within your physical environment, within each room of your home, because all of these things are connected with our subconscious mind. And so if we can enlist the power of our desire, if we can enlist the power of our environment, our home in particular, and if we can enlist the power of our subconscious mind, like, we are unstoppable. We can go after whatever we want. And so what I want to get you started on today is, number one, awareness leads to change. Okay. Like, if we expand our awareness every day, like, we're constantly going to be evolving and our life is going to be a fabulous adventure. Okay. So the first thing for expanding our awareness is, I have a tool for it. At least I love it. It's my favorite tool for starting this whole process. But if you type awareness in the comments, I will send you my favorite tool for getting a baseline for where you are now. And then you identify which areas in your life. I pick 3, like, what areas in my life, if I could change them overnight, would make the most dramatic shift in my life. And so that helps us set our baseline and it helps us set our trajectory. Okay. So again, that's the Life+Design Wheel. If you type awareness in the comments, it's free. I'll send it to you. So then with the next step, with design in our environment, each room in our home communicates to specific areas of our life. And we can orient and adapt each room within our home so that it supports those different areas of our life. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, about each room in your home and how it relates to specific areas of your life, the next tool that I have is Blueprint. The Blueprint for a Self-Designed Life. And so if you're interested in that one, type Blueprint in the comments below and I will send you a link to that program. It takes about 3 hours if you go straight through, and I have a coupon code for you to use for that one if that's where you want to start. And then with the mind being that third aspect, right? We have desire, design, and the mind. If you want to jump into the subconscious mind and your perceptions, because our subconscious mind and how it operates, the architecture and the operating system of the subconscious, like we have one, so we should know how to use it and how to navigate like survival mode and self-sabotage. So if you're interested in that one, type subconscious in the comments and I'll send you a link to User's Guide to the Subconscious Mind. Lastly, if you want all of these things, if you're like, Kimberly, I want to jump into all of this, then you would be interested in the reset program. And so if you type reset in the comments below, you'll get all 4 of these for like 50% off or something like ridiculous. And you get to be a part of my community. And we have weekly to bi-weekly calls, depending on what time of year it is, so that we can really get into this information together and I can help you out with whatever comes up along the way. So are there any questions? Like, I really want to drive home this point that your desire, how you adapt the space of your home, we'll call it design. So desire, design, and the mind. These are 3 sort of waypoints for you to go after your higher potential. What's going on within my mind, right? What are my self-perceptions? What is my perception of what's going on? Is this getting in the way of what I want? Oh, and I forgot to repeat the wheel. To get started on getting your baseline and setting your trajectory for your desires, type awareness, and I'll send you my free favorite tool called the Life+Design Wheel. Okay. So anyway, your desire is so freaking important. Like, that is the one thing that all of this is about, is you going after your big D desire and you living that life. Because here's what happens. If every single one of us is living the life that we're so excited about, imagine how this world would change overnight. Like, the world is crazy right now because people don't like their life. People are stressed. People are in survival mode. Like, that is like, collectively, if all of us followed our deeper desire, we would make this world a better place, period. And so what I want to do is help you tap into that desire, cultivate that desire, because one, that's how we evolve. Like, that's how we thrive. That's how we flourish, is we focus in on what we want and what lights us up. And we keep doing that. And the thing is when we keep following our desire, new desires are going to come, like new things. Like, this is how we grow. Like, this is how we are just always tapped into that passion of living. And so how do we get there? How do we get there with the greatest ease? We understand, we bring our awareness to our environment and how our environment is perpetuating those things that we don't want, and how we can adapt our environment so that it supports those things that we do want. Like, can you tell I'm like serious about this? And then one of the hardest ways to work with the mind is through the subconscious, because the subconscious is responsible for 95% of our thoughts. And we have 50,000 to 75,000 thoughts a day. And so it's like, oh, just change your thoughts and change your life. Oh, that's great. I'm only aware of 5% of my thoughts. So if I can change my thoughts to change my life, but I can only change 5% of my thoughts, like, I'm screwed. And you're not screwed, because I know a way to access the subconscious mind to redirect all of those 95% of our thoughts. And it's by using the space of our environment. Okay. And the primary environment that we have liberty over and we have control over is the space where we live. And each room in our home is communicating to us about specific areas of our life, and each room in our home is communicating to us these darker hidden areas within our subconscious that we don't have access to. Okay, so we don't know what's going on in the subconscious mind. I mean, we might have a decent idea, if we have some self-awareness and we understand that the majority of what's held in the subconscious is how we were programmed in the first 7 years of our life, like that's a good indication of what's going on. It's like our subconscious mind is like Oz behind the curtain, okay? And they're just trying to like keep everything cool. They're trying to just keep us plugging along and chugging away in our life that we were told to live. And then we decide, I don't really want to be the person my parents wanted me to be. I don't really want to be the person that I was groomed to be for 2 decades. Like, I want to be something different. And the subconscious mind is like, oh yeah, that's not happening. Sorry. Like, go do something else. Like, go eat Ben and Jerry's. Why don't you go have a cocktail and go watch Netflix for 4 hours? Like, we're not changing. You just keep doing what you're doing because status quo is where we're heading. So anyway, I don't even know where I was going with this. My main point is that your desire is so important to me. Okay. And I have the tools to help you like cultivate more of that. And so adapting our environment, which includes our home and our choices, and becoming more aware of how our mind works, our subconscious mind, and using our environment in a way that helps us reframe what's been set up in our mind in a way that helps us get to where we want to go. So just to let you know, if you're ready to dive into getting your baseline and setting your trajectory, I have lots of tools for you. The first one is the Life+Design Wheel. If you type awareness, I will send you a link so you can start that now. And I also have a couple other like free things that I threw in there about me just telling you about how important your desire is. So awareness, type awareness, and I'll send you the wheel. That's the first thing, because you're going to set your baseline and it's going to help you set your trajectory for what you want. The next thing you need to understand is how your environment is impacting what's happening here and what's happening in your life. And so if you're ready to dive into, it's the blueprint for a self-designed life. It's a 3-hour course if you go from start to finish and don't take your time, which it is good if you take your time, but it's also important to get this information. Type blueprint and I will send you the link for blueprint to a self-designed life. And it's an amazing course. And I'm throwing in a discount. I think it's 25% off. Then the next layer is working with your mind. Like, we have a mind and the subconscious is a huge part of it. And we need to understand how it works so that we can, turn the steering wheel so it's pointing in the direction of we want and not the direction that it was trained by our caregivers and our parents and our upbringing in society. And so if you're interested in that one, type subconscious. And then lastly, if you're like, Kimberly, I need to do all of this, like I want all of it, then I would get the reset, because the reset, it's a highly curated experience of all of this together. And so it takes you step by step. And within each room of your home, we're looking at how it impacts specific areas of your life and those correlating areas of your mind. And so it's a really, really rich, potent process. And some people just whip right through it in like 5 weeks. And some people take 12 weeks or 6 months. And it's really meant for you to go at your own pace, because we're working with the subconscious mind. The slower you go, the more we're like loosening up this fertile ground of the subconscious. Does anyone have any questions? I feel like, and then the last thing is, if you're like, Kimberly, I want to make a career out of this, or I just want to learn as much as I can, then type school. And that's my neurodesign. It's my Desire, Neurodesign, and Consciousness school. And I teach everything I know. I mean, there's lots of layers that I'm weaving in. But the one thing to know is that all of these programs are evolving programs. And so I'm constantly adding new things to it. And you have lifetime access. Okay. So the Life Design method, that program is basically 4 courses. And you can take those, and it's like a deep dive into desire. It's a deep dive into your home. It's a deep dive into the subconscious. It's a deep dive into your perception. Or you can take the reset program, which is all of them in one, and it's at a bigger discount. And then it's that more curated experience. And then if you're like, I'm totally in for all of it, then you can come with me and I'll train you, and then you can help other people with this too. Okay. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me in the comments or DM me. Like, I always love hearing from people, and you can send me an audio or you can send me just a text, whatever you want. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, and have a beautiful day.